Good evening, flockers. Welcome to Evelyn's Dark Web of Horror. I am Evelyn Ravencroft, and this is Azrael, my little raven. Last year I had the honor of visiting and hosting live streams from the lovely Lake Hickory Haunts in Hickory, North Carolina. Let's just say I felt right at home among the ghoulies that lurk there. However, words can't quite describe the horrors we found, but this video gives just a little taste of what we experienced.
Come in and enjoy. It's time to chase the moonlight. I work hard and work for a working man's pay, but I'm letting loose tonight. I think I'm gonna rise up, riding high. Ain't nothing gonna hold me back. Now I'm on the move, got nothing to lose, like a freight train. Come on
Please welcome my very special guest, owner and director of operations of Lake Hickory Haunts, Ryan Settlemyre.
Good to see you, Evelyn.
Good to see you too, my sweet. How are you this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, delightful, thank you. So let's start with you telling us a little bit about Lake Hickory Haunts.
So Lake Hickory Haunts is a large-scale haunted attraction. When most people think about a haunted house or a haunted trail, they think about most of the ones that they experienced as a teenager. Volunteer haunted trails was $5, $10, $15 to get in. And most of the actors are volunteer, so really just scary, and the scenes are basic. But Lake Hickory Haunts is a lot more than that. It's more professional. So we see ourselves more akin to Disney World and theme parks than we do a local haunted trail. So large-scale entertainment with a horror theme. We have 9 unique haunted attractions.
Tell us about those. Ooh.
So we have Nightmare Factory, Lair of the Undead, Shipwrecked, Extinction, Aftermath, Slaughterhouse, Descent, and Big Top Circus, and Midway of Mayhem. So the themes range from zombies to cannibal hillbillies to post-apocalyptic, science fiction, clowns, the whole 9.
And the Descent is 12 feet underground?
It is. It's actually underground. So Descent was one of our huge projects that we've undergone. So from the first boat ride in the Carolinas, which we used to have, which we may bring back in the future as we've talked about. So we're always trying to do things that people can't believe. They can't actually believe that it's actually happening.
Oh, I definitely can't believe it. I disappeared under the earth. It was terrifying. Terrifically terrifying, I should say.
Good.
I mentioned that you had me out to host your live streams. Azrael and I met so many wonderful people. You have so many amazing people there. The Midway was packed every night I was there. It certainly looked like 2019 was a big year for you. Tell me how you feel it went.
It was a huge year. I mean, every year it's, we've exploded. So, the first season, of course, in 2012, it was a very small year. Our admission price was only $15 a person. The tour lasted probably 15 minutes.
Wow.
Whereas now,
so
now the tour lasts generally 55 minutes or so. Along with that, attendance has exploded year after year after year. We haven't really reached a wall yet. We're still growing every single year. So from last year to this year, the growth was just as great as it was the year before. And I expect 2020 to be the same way.
Well, I know I went through as my mortal self, and it took a little longer than 55 minutes. It was truly frightening. I was a little terrified. So what were some of your favorite moments from this year, or nights?
Well, personally for me, it was probably the concerts. Just actually seeing the professionalism, because believe it or not, so back in 2014, we had Luke Combs come and play a concert at Lake Hickory Haunts.
Mr. Luke.
And even when as huge as he is now, when we did that originally, it was just an acoustic concert. So it was very simple, just like a tractor trailer set up. Whereas now we have to provide, professional audio engineering and lighting engineering. So that was a big undertaking. But when it all came together, and we had people coming, out of state to see the band and also see the haunt, it was kind of surreal for me. Of course, every night, the customers coming out, that's always the best. Every year it's awesome to see them coming out, and their reactions are always awesome. Whether they're smiling, crying, or laughing, it's always the best.
You have some of the best people that work for you. I just love them. They're sweet. They're dolls. Now, I know you added quite a bit last year. What exactly were those additions, and do you think they had the impact you were anticipating?
Oh yeah, they definitely had the impact. So some of our additions customers don't even see. So the first thing we did last year was build a new makeup building, which is a large building, also has offices in it as well as our makeup and costume departments. So the first thing we did was finish the inside of our makeup building last year. That was in December and January. And then after that, so the next thing we did, we renovated the entire top half of the Nightmare Factory. We added the morgue, the further, we redid Dr. Death's room. We also renovated the 3D circus, added Evelation. We changed the extinction, lots of stuff in extinction, rebuilt the facade.
So tell us about the clown house. You said it was 3D.
Yeah, so the clown house, you wear chroma-depth glasses, and the way they work is they react with hot and cold colors. And those hot and cold colors, when you wear the 3D glasses, it makes it seem like those hot colors are popping out at you. So we do the same thing with our characters. So you have clowns with their noses all of a sudden popping out at you. We also have the spinning tunnel, as I'm sure that you know about.
You just stop and hold on and hope you don't. I'm going to
people
live
do.
here now. Yes.
Yeah. And so people try to figure that out, whether they're actually spinning in circles or not.
It feels like it.
Pretty much you are.
Yes, it feels like it, for sure.
And then, of course, we built all the new ramps. So now you go up in the air and you've got the suspension bridge. Pretty much stuff you can't explain unless you see it.
Right.
That's the tough
yes,
part with a lot of
your feet are
things
not
we
safe.
do.
No, things are moving. Oh, it's just giving me the frights just thinking about it. So a haunted attraction requires more than great sets. Tell us about your monsters.
Our monsters are what makes our show. So I always tell our monsters that, when you're a kid, for people like me, when I was a kid, one of my favorite things was to scare people. And I'm sure most kids have done it to their parents or friends. They just set up in the kitchen and wait for somebody to come through a door and they scare them. So I always tell them, we can build the best sets in the world and customers come, but if we don't have good monsters, then that's all it is a museum.
Right.
Whereas
yes.
even if we didn't have good sets, great actors could still provide a quality experience.
Right.
So actors are the most important thing. And what I say is that we're building a playground for them, so then everyone who likes to scare people, they come in, and of course we train them professionally. So that's a big difference between us and smaller haunted,
right.
Attractions,
yes.
is the amount of training. So, we begin training in the summer consistently, and we pay our actors, so they're not just there to scare, the jeebies out of people. They're there to scare and to entertain. So if somebody's too scared, they start crying, having a panic attack, our actors are trained for that, so they're not going to scare people to the point of misery.
Yes.
Our main goal and our actors' goal is to ensure everybody has a good time and that they're safe.
Yes,
so
I know
actors
you
are
love
key.
to keep people safe. That's
Always,
great. You told me
always.
once, it's like being on a roller coaster where you want to have a thrill, but you want it to be safe, and no one wants to fall out of the roller coaster. So
That's right.
I'm thankful that you put seatbelts on for us. So running a haunted attraction is something you don't see posted in the job search apps. How did you find yourself there?
Good question. So I say that it started when I was in my mother's womb.
Tell me about that.
That's always the punchline because people are like, what? So my mom and dad, when my mother was pregnant with me, they went through the scariest haunt in the country at the time, which was in Orlando, Florida. It was called Terror on Church Street. So I always say that that's where it had me. My dad, when my father was 16 years old, he acted in the Hudson J.C.'s haunted house. So that's how he learned about it. And then we did some volunteer haunted trails, many different ones over the years. My first acting in a haunted house, I was 6 to 7 years old. I actually ran a chainsaw when I was 7, which is funny. But the reason I ran the chainsaw is because I was too scared to go in the woods. So I wanted to scare people, but I couldn't go in the woods.
But you were scared.
Right,
Yes.
so I was at the exit. So then, of course, when I went to Disney World, I always tell the story, like the first time I went to Disney World and I was old enough to have conscious thoughts about it, I noticed that the floor was different. When you went into different themed lands, it was all immersive, and I noticed it, whereas,
so nice.
right,
Yes.
and my siblings and family members, they didn't, and I was like, do you guys not see how cool this is? And they were like, no, we were just having a fun time, and I was like, all right, maybe it's just me. So I always had a knack for, that immersion. And then
Escapism.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And so I wanted to find a way to be able to create that in a unique way, not in a way that you see in Disney World the exact same way, but in unique ways.
Well, it's truly amazing. And you had me out to host your live streams, and I have to say that was something new for me. I've not seen any haunted attractions doing it. It seemed like real innovation to engage with the audience like that. So what are your thoughts on taking a risk like that, doing something no one's done before?
So of course the main thing with taking a risk with things like that is the crew around making it happen, so of course Jason did a phenomenal job with it.
Yes, we love Jason.
So he made sure that all of that was ready to go, because when a lot of people come up with great ideas, and I'm like, well, can you make it happen? And
Right.
if they say yeah, then I'm like, let's go for it. That's my thing is I've never been afraid to lose it all. Like I'm just not. I'm a huge risk taker always. Like I'm willing to take a risk, and if it causes it all to fail, then so be it. So I'm always excited about trying new things, because that's the only way to have true success, is to try things that other people may be afraid to try. Otherwise, you're never going to be better than the next person. So anytime there's something new to try and to take a risk on, that's just an opportunity to go places others haven't, so it's exciting.
Yes, a dream is just a dream until you put it to action. And you always put it to action. So I love to
Always
see
try.
that you bring your dreams to fruition. That is very admirable of you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I admire you, Ryan.
Oh.
So what is your schedule like when the season ends? What do you do the first week after your wrap other than sleep?
Well, the first week is payroll, like finishing up payroll, all making sure that everyone has been paid. And then immediately I try to winterize all of our props and sets to protect them from rain and UV sunlight damage. And then it's the holidays, so then you gotta, spend time with family. That's always important. And then the beginning of the beginning of the year, start planning for our Trans World trip, which is the largest Halloween and attraction trade show, and it's in St. Louis each year, and it's in March. So we always go there. So I always start planning for that to see what we're going to do the next coming year. So pretty much it never stops. Nobody believes it, and they always ask. They're like, "When do you start for the next year?" And I'm like,
You
"What
just
do you
don't
mean?"
stop.
Right.
You just keep going,
Right.
yes. So I know you must have something up your sleeve for 2020. Can you give us a hint on your plan?
Sure. one thing we're going to do, and I can say this, is we're going to completely renovate the main building. So one thing is I've always wanted to focus from the inside out. I feel like it's an injustice when businesses focus on advertising first and their facade first, and then you get there, you pay, and the experience is like, well, this isn't what you guys led us on to
False
believe.
advertising.
Right.
Yes,
So from the beginning, I wanted to build from the inside out, make sure the sets were the best. So now a lot of times when people pull up, they just see this old convenience store, and they're like, what? This is Lake Hickory Haunts?
It's such a big deal, and then there's
right,
this
it's
little
like
house.
there's nothing here
Yes.
till they go down the hill, of course. But we're gonna tear down and completely renovate that building, build a new building, and a whole new facade for up there. And also, as we spoke about Descent, we're going to expand and add on to Descent. So we're going to add a huge new mine shaft section, miners, mine carts. So basically, where it'll be like an abandoned mine shaft where they've been mining and digging underground tunnels, of course, so it'll fit in with the Descent theme. It's another way to, because all of our scenes with our unique attractions, I always try to transition them. So once we have built Descent, of course, we have the sewer, which leads into the cavern. But right now, it just it doesn't really have a fade to the next scene. But a mine shaft makes sense. When you come out, it'll make sense that, we're coming out where miners have been searching underground.
Ooh.
So
There'll be haunted coal miners lurking about.
Exactly.
Ooh,
Maybe
sounds
some zombies too.
Ooh, the zombies, no. That sounds delightfully dreadful. I can't wait. So tell me when you open next year.
So we will open in September, generally like somewhere around September 20th, something like that. It's always a Saturday. And then what's exciting about this year is during the month of October, there's 5 weekends. So we have five Saturdays in the month of October, which with a seasonal business, it's always risky with the weather. So knowing that's kind of comforting that there's more room for variables.
And rain.
Exactly. So that's exciting for us. And Halloween is on a Saturday.
Ooh, that's perfect.
Yeah, so that's really exciting for us. So we'll open mid-September, and we're always open through the first or second week of November.
Sounds amazing. Now you have like a lights out, or like
we
tell
do.
me about that.
We do. That's always our last 2 nights open. So what we do is, it kind of fits in. So when we finish the season, of course, we have to go through and take all of our lights out for the end of the season. So while we're doing that, we're like, well, hey, we can create a unique show. So while we're starting that winterizing process, we're also setting up for our last weekend show. So then we have an experience where they go through with a glow stick, and that's their only lighting source.
That sounds terrible.
And the entire tour is pitch black. So
Goodness, that sounds frightening.
it is. And
Lots of screams, lots of shoes.
yes, it's completely different, much more suspenseful, and tickets are also $3 off on those nights. So.
And do you have plans to have bands out again this coming year?
Of course. As much live entertainment as possible. So if there's anyone that anyone knows of that does live entertainment, reach out to us. We'd always love to have them come out.
So if you play in a band, let him know. Now I know that the Midway is definitely a hopping place. Azrael loved it. He tried the whole axe throwing thing, but it didn't quite work. But I love that new addition. He enjoyed hitting up the snack bar, and I personally love just seeing how passionate all of you were about what you do. It made it such an amazing experience, and I'm thankful to have me out there to meet all of those lovely ghouls and gents.
Well, thank you. It was a real pleasure having you there, and I think our customers loved you. So I think they'll want to have you back for sure.
That just makes my heart happy. Okay, well, thank you, Ryan, for
No
joining
problem.
us this evening, and we will have a chat with you soon. Until next time, my loves.